What's up everybody? I've been planning to make this video for a while now, but essentially I will be dropping Ed once Terry comes because I'm a giant St.MK fanboy. But because I love playing the character so much and he is one of the more difficult characters to use, I thought about making this guide to help new players join on their Ed journey, or hopefully help some players get into that intermediate level. If you're looking to become a pro, there are other videos for that. But I'm going to go over, what makes Ed a strong character, his normals, his specials, and then tackle some character specific stuff as well. So there'll definitely be something for somebody, and hopefully you enjoy. Now Ed, he's kind of in an odd spot because I think personally he has 3 tiers. If you're a beginner, playing the game for the very first time, or you're new to fighting games, he's probably going to feel like he's a B tier character. There's nothing that's really going to stand out that he has if you're a new player. But if you're an intermediate level player, which I would say that I am, I used to attend tournaments, I used to take these types of games pretty seriously. I know frame data, combos, etc. I would say at my level he comes more of an A tier character, or an A plus tier, so a very solid character. And if you're a pro player, the top of the top, grandmaster level, you attend tournaments, you do really well in tournaments, he is an S tier character. So I know it's odd that a character falls into 3 different tiers, but Ed definitely benefits from matchup knowledge, character knowledge, and just player skill overall, like a lot of characters. But in the hands of a pro, he's definitely S tier, and I'm going to give you some examples of how, as the video goes on. So just a quick character overview of Ed. He definitely deserves the hard description, when you're in the character select screen. I think he's one of the few characters that does deserve it in this game. You always got to be thinking when you're Ed. And here are some pros and cons of the character. The pros are, he's got elite pokes, and I'm going to go through all of these. He has elite zoning. He has a strong mental stack. He has a low into drive rush. He has invincible anti-airs and reversals, including on wake up. And he's got one of the best throw loops in the game. The cons are, he has inconsistent anti-air sometimes, and I'm going to go through all of these, don't worry. He can kind of be abused on wake up, and you always have to be thinking when you're playing him. He's not someone that you can just shut off your brain and autopilot into, round 1, round 2, round 3. You always got to keep the brain moving when you're playing with Ed. And this is more of a me issue and players that are, intermediate level and below. Because he has no overhead, you really do need to understand how a lot of things in this game works, like fuzzy guard or delayed tech, shimmies. You really do need that extra knowledge just to make sure that you can open your opponents up without an overhead. Alright, so let's talk about Ed's normals, and thankfully he's got some of the best normals in the entire game, including 2 god tier normals, which I'm going to get to. But let's start off with the most contentious normal, his jab. A lot of people complain online that his crouch jab and his stand jab, they don't go that far. And you know what? They might be right, but it still serves a purpose. It's still good to have a 4-frame jab. And it can still punish things that, some people think it can't. For example, let's just say Akuma did this attack. I can mash jab and still get off the punish. If he perfectly spaces it, maybe I can't. But I still recommend you let go of holding back. That way you don't move back when you... So the other thing to remember is all of his normals most of his normals I should say, can be drive rush or cancelled. So I'm going to go through which ones can. The jab can. It can go into DP. It can go into light blitz. And the most important thing is it goes into medium blitz. And why that's important is one of his main hit confirms is 1, 2, 3 into that. Don't drop it like I did. But it gives you a good knockdown with a follow-up option. So remember, jab is very good. He also has drive rush jab, which obviously is a very strong mechanic in this game. And off of drive rush, basically, he can go right into the medium punch, which is good because you're going to see that medium punch does a lot of combos as well. So don't sleep on Ed's normals, especially as pressure tools when, the opponent's blocking. It's good to hit up high, low, high, low. You can throw some tick grabs in there. But definitely not a horrible jab like a lot of people wanted to believe that it was. Next up we have Ed stand medium punch. Pretty good normal altogether. It's not best in class or anything like that, but it definitely serves its purpose. It's not that bad at, you know, stopping drive rushes if people are coming in, but it's not active for very long, so you have to keep that in mind. And like a ton of Ed's other moves, you know, it's drive cancelable. It has a target combo, and you can combo into moves quite easily with it. But one of the main reasons you're going to want to use this normal are wake up tech, which I'm going to get into after. Don't worry about that. And it starts a few of Ed's routes. The most important one, or the most popular one you're going to see, is medium punch into hard punch target combo. This launcher, you know, there's so many different things that it can do after that. Basic combos like this with a kill rush, which I'll get into. But it just gives you another hit confirmable thing that, you know, it lets you slow down the game a bit so you can, you know, capitalize on your decisions. And the other thing is it combos into crouch light kick, what I'm going to get into. Very important for Ed to have because that goes into a knockdown. Remember, anytime you hit stand medium punch, if you're in range, crouch light kick will work. Next up is Ed's stand fierce or stand hard punch. Very solid normal overall, has pretty good range, pushes Ed forward, and you guessed it, it can combo into everything just like, you know, most of his normals. Very good normal overall, but there's one thing you have to remember. Because this normal can be charged, which I'll get into after this, you have to be really quick when you push it. I double tap, so I always get the 10 frame when I do it. But let's just say you have slow fingers or you hold down to the button a bit longer. You can see it doesn't always come out in 10 frames. Sometimes it'll come out in 15 or sometimes it'll come out in 11 just because the game will register that charge. So you want to get into the habit of just doing double taps or lightly pressing the button, because you don't want to get into a situation where you think something is punishable or you think you're in the perfect range to get something to do a whiff punish and it comes out in 13 frames or 15 frames. So keep that in mind. And even though it pushes them forward, you know, it doesn't push them forward as much as our buddy Akuma over here, who has the god normal, as I like to call it. So keep that in mind. If you're trying to fight Akuma in the corner, he goes back and forward, he can definitely clip you better than you can clip him, and it's more active, like Akuma needs it, right? And if you hold on Ed's fierce, he'll go into this, you know, psycho charge Superman punch. Very situational, I'll say. It doesn't go through fireballs or things like that, so if your opponent's zoning, you know, you're gonna get clipped by that. It is safe on block when fully charged, but you have to understand it's absolutely free to DI. So if you're to do this and your opponent hits DI, they'll knock you right out of it clean. So you have to keep that in mind. So there are moments where you can use it to bait people out. You do it, you dash forward just to catch them off guard if they're parrying or something like that. But a lot of the times you'll see people do this is mostly, you know, to finish off a corner combo. As you can see, it knocks them over. There's so many things you can do over here, but it is a good meterless starter for corner combos. 3100 meterless, you know, you'll take that. Next up is forward and fierce or forward and hard punch. You get Ed's Cobra Strike or Superman punch, as I like to call it. Standard Superman punches, lunges forward, jumps over lows, will hit punish counter on lows, so that's good to have. It's -3 on block, so you want to keep that in mind. You won't get your turn back. Let's just see if I can find the controls. Yep. -3 on block. You're not going to get your turn back. But there are reasons why you should do this move that I'm going to get to in a bit. But keep in mind, don't throw this out willy-nilly. It's not safe. If they're throwing fireballs, it's going to clip you. So keep that in mind. Next up, we have Ed's stand short or stand light kick. This is a fantastic normal to you know, check an opponent that doesn't know how far this goes. This move just reaches absurdly far. It has to be one of the furthest reaching you know, stand light kicks in the game. Comes out in 5 frames and it combos into itself by just mashing. It's a target combo. You definitely have to know this. It's one of those things where it's good to test out if you're not sure if a move is safe and you know your jab's not going to reach. It's worth throwing this out. And the best part is, after 2 hits, it's still safe. So you're -3, you don't get your turn, but at least you got something for science, right? And isn't science the most important thing of everything? Of note though, this move cannot be cancelled. It's one of Ed's few moves that can't be cancelled. So, you know, you can't mash DP or anything out of this. Just keep that in mind. And then we get the God normal. This stand medium kick will win you so many matches on its own if you know what you're doing with it. Why is it so good? Well, obviously just look at the screen. Many of you have probably already been hit by this. It will get your ankles. It doesn't hit low, it still hits high, but the range is insane. It can be canceled, and even when you cancel it, like you get a medium punch after it. If it's counter hit, I'm going to go into counter hit combos in a bit. You can get even more out of it. The other thing is it's special cancelable from far away, so if you do clip them, you can get them with different moves like that. And it still works with, his kill rushes back and forward. It is a fantastic move. Further to that, it also has a target combo associated with it. So 2 medium kicks into a fierce punch. You get that knockdown. Doesn't do fantastic damage, but a meterless punish, it's pretty good. As you can see, at max range, it still gets people. So definitely good to get. Also, this move is an absolute crouch medium kick killer. You have to keep that in mind when you play. This move will help you in these Shoto matches so much because, as you can see, it snipes them from miles away. Next up is Ed's stand hard kick. This move is amazing as an anti-air normal. It does definitely has some dead spots, but if you're in the right spot, it's a very annoying normal, and it can cancel into things like kill rush. So you just have to keep that in mind. It's Ed's only safe on block normal, and it's +3, which is amazing. The only issue with that is it does not hit crouching opponents. So you have to keep that in mind. Even in your combos, when you drive rush in, if they're crouching, this is not going to work. One workaround on this, if you know the opponent's blocking, it will still work fuzzy. As you can see, I was able to hit the jump in, they block it, and then you're able to hit the +3 on that. But other than that, you're not going to be hitting that combo consistently, so keep that in mind. Then crouch medium punch. It's Ed's low, and it's always weird for a medium punch to be low, but I'm old school. Is it the best in class? Absolutely not. But it's still a great move to have in your arsenal because, let's be honest, low into drive rush is such a big threat in this game, and it always makes your opponent worried about, holding back to walk backwards. So keep that in mind. On counter hit, you can get more off of that, but I'll save that for the next few clips. And of course, it just combos into so many things as well because, let's be real, that's how Ed works. Then you have Ed sweep, pretty standard sweep, comes out in 10 frames. I'll be honest, this is probably the move that I use least with Ed. He just has so many good moves that, it's so negative on block. You don't want to just be stuck in a spot where you get it. But I still sometimes make the mistake of wanting back fierce, walking backwards and pressing fierce, but still holding down on leverless and getting that sweep by accident. So maybe that's why I don't want to push it as much. If you like hard knockdowns, it's worth doing, but there are definitely better options out there. And now we have God Normal number 2. This crouch light kick, crouch short, might be the best short in the game. It has absurd range for a short. Comes out in 5 frames. When it's counter hit, it combos into itself. But why is this important again? They combo into Ed specials. So you're able to hit confirm from quite far away. So as you can see, that's an easy hit confirm, and it still snipes from pretty far. This move is amazing, and it also goes into his medium punch DP if you want as well. Like, take a look at Ken doing Jinrai kicks. This move is an absolute noob killer. If you don't know what to do with it, you're just gonna eat this pressure all day. But because it's -5, even if it's spaced very far, Ed can still get the punish off with that. Like, see how far that reached? And of course, you just have to know your distances. And because it can combo into a bunch of things as well, you can have punishes that other characters can't, and punishing this move is a must. Now, crouch medium punch is so close to being another god tier normal, but it's going to end up in, high-end elite. This move, it has 9 frame startup, so it is a bit slow, but the range is insane. As you can see, Akuma is, very far from me, but I'm still clipping him in the face. But it's so plus on block that you could, or on hit, sorry, you can even get things like medium punch linked right after it. So it's so awesome to, clip and slowly do these links that will send the opponent flying. And it also goes into specials again. Like, look how far this EX Snatcher can hit. If you hit them in the tip, you know, of their nose, you're still going to get that Snatcher off. And one of Ed's main things is jumping through the air, clipping people like that, and still doing that move. When this move really shines is counter hit, but I'm going to get into that in a bit. And if you're wondering why I didn't say it was in the complete S tier or God tier, as I like to call it, for normals, is that it doesn't work on crouching opponents from far away. If it did, this would be another God tier normal. Maybe for the balance of the game, it's good that it doesn't. And of course, Drive Rush, it can combo into plenty of things as well. This is a great normal. And finally, of the standing normals, or the grounded normals I should say, Crouch Roundhouse, Crouch Hard Kick. A very solid, you know, crouching attack. It moves you forward. It's just very slow, so you have to keep that in mind. It comes out in 12 frames and it's only active for 2. So if you're just throwing this out willy-nilly, you know, you will get clipped. But guess what? Are you surprised that just like every other one of Ed's normals, it combos into everything and it can be Drive Rush into other stuff as well? Well, you shouldn't be, because that means you wouldn't be paying attention to this video. Very good normal to space out things or punish sweeps with, or, you know, stopping approaching opponents walking towards you, because it just moves you forward so much. But don't get into the habit of throwing this around, because it's whiff punish city and it gets stuffed a lot. So very solid normal. It's definitely not elite, but it's very good to have in the kit. So another target combo Ed has is this Crouch Hard Kick into Hard Punch, or Crouch Roundhouse into Fierce, whatever you want to call it. And you might see this and say, this is kind of pointless. Why would you want to do it? And it's something that is rare. You don't really see Eds doing it that much. But the reason that it exists is that it cancels into all of his supers. So, you know, you can mash super, you'll get level 1. Do it again, you'll get level 2. Mash it, you'll get level 3. And these are just good things that you need to know for meterless options. And you're going to see there are counter hit setups where it is viable, but it's one of those things. Ed, again, is a character that you always have to be thinking with. Ed's jumping normals I can keep pretty short. His jumping jab, not that bad, 5 frames. Its best use, obviously, is jump back anti-air or jump back air-to-air. Comes out very fast, and it's just a good get off me, especially if your opponent wants to jump out of the corner. His jump medium punch is this cross up. As you can see, it comes down on this weird angle. And you'd be surprised. This crosses up even when you don't think it's going to cross up, like those situations. So keep that in mind. It's a very good cross up to have. And you can, you know, lead it into jabs and whatnot. Very good cross up. His jump heavy punch, on the other hand, I don't think this move is that great. It comes out at 9 frames, which is fine. But something about its hitbox is kind of awkward to me. Every time you're trying to land or hit someone with their fireballs, I don't know. For me, it doesn't work that well. Your mileage might vary. You know, you may have hacked your game and you have better frame data than me. But just keep that in mind. I just think it's okay. His jump light kick or jump short, the most applications I've seen this used for, you know, is an instant anti-air like that, or like a quick get off me, get out of the situation. But you really don't see ads online using this move that much, including like the super grandmasters like Momochi or Ending Walker, nothing like that. So this normal, I'll say it, he's got another god tier normal. It's his jumping medium kick. Not only is it very good for an air-to-air, especially if they're right in front of you, you can jump back and hit that. You snipe people from crazy distances. It forces knockdown if you hit an opponent out of the air. But the real reason this move is so awesome is that it combos into crouch medium punch from insane ranges. It doesn't work as well on Akuma if he's throwing fireballs, but if Ryu and Ken are throwing fireballs from full screen, they got the extended hitbox on their, or the hurtbox on their fireballs. Bam, you snipe them from miles away with this move. Very good move to have. It's not as good as, you know, Season 1 JP jumping neutral like that, but definitely a good tool to have. And then the most unique version of his jump moves, his jump heavy kick. As you can see, Ed just snipes up, you know, to the top screen. It kind of goes off the screen as well if you look at it. The best use of this are for characters that like to wall jump, so Chun-Li, Rashid, you see them jumping off the screen. you snipe them out of the air with this move and it sends them right back. So it does have a purpose, but it's definitely matchup dependent. Alright, let's go over what makes Ed stand out. With Ed, he really changes when you see things like counter hit and punish counter hit, and you're going to say, duh, that's every character. But Ed definitely needs to look out for that because it leads into routes and different mix-up options for him that he normally wouldn't get. So they always have to be top of mind. Take stand jab for example, on counter hit, it becomes 6 frames. That means it leads right into crouch light kick, which is very important because remember, it's a god normal with god range. And because it can go into the medium blitz, you get an awesome follow-up like that. Next up is counter hit stand medium punch. It's +8 on block, which is great because what that means is it can combo into itself. So that gives you more time to realize that, okay, I can hit them with that target combo after. Very good normal to have. It also combos into his low. So if you're, very far from the opponent, it's still something that you can pull off a combo like that. So very good to know. And easily one of the most important punishes to know with Ed. As soon as you punish counter on jab and you're in decent range, it will always combo into medium punch. So keep that in mind. Why is that important? Because medium punch combos into crouch light kick. And remember, this is a god tier normal. So keep that in mind. It also goes into its target combo if you want. So there are definitely options. But remember, you see punish counter on a very obvious -4 punish, you can hit that. Okay? Don't forget it. Now, Ed's stand medium punch definitely comes alive when you do have punish counter. As you can see, it hits at +10. What does that mean? Which normal can it combo into? His stand fierce. And you're going to ask why that's important outside of damage. And I'm going to tell you why. Is because stand fierce can combo into the extended kill rush. So you want to make sure that you have that combo down pat, because that extended kill rush will lead into different setups, which I'm going to get to in a bit. Doesn't always have to go into the stand fierce either. If you're very far away, you can also do the crouch medium kick. Just knowing that you can get these types of distances because, Ed's got such great normals, it really lets you control that awkward space in Street Fighter 6. Ed's stand fierce on counter hit, not that bad. It's +7, which means it will combo into stand medium punch. So just look out for that when you're at the right ranges. And why is that good? Because of course, stand medium punch goes into the god normal. You're going to hear that a million times, but it's that important. And it also has its own target combo. So keep that in mind. And again, on punish counter is when it shines. On punish counter, it becomes +9. What does that mean? It links into crouch medium kick. This range is very good because as you can see, Akuma's almost, half a screen away. But Ed is still able to clip him with that. You gotta look out for that. And it's gonna be one of those situations where you're gonna, bait a throw, you're gonna shimmy, you're gonna walk back, hit them with that, and then go into a very devastating combo. Same thing with stand light kick. It has great range, but when it's counter hit, it becomes +5, which means what's it gonna combo into? The god normal. You want to keep that in mind. Bam. See? You won't see this too often, but if you're able to, block and punish at a decent range, you could get the stand medium punch after punish counter. But like I said, you're not going to see this all the time because most people will punish with this. Now, stand medium kick, god normal. Why is it important for counter hits? It's not like you get big follow-ups, raw. But when you see the counter hit flash, if you hit drive rush and then hit fierce, that actually combos. It will not combo if it's not a counter hit. So you have to keep that in mind. If you see that counter hit going, you can go right into the fierce, and that leads into way more damage. And then last of the standing normals, stand hard kick. When you hit it up close, it's an absurd +10 on counter hit. That means you can go right into the fierce. That leads into tons of different options. You can go into, special routes. You can go into kill rushes. It's just good to know that you can do it, but you have to be aware. Remember, if they're crouching, this won't work. So if you're drive rushing, doing a combo chain, you always have to pay attention to what your opponent's position is. Everyone's favorite normal, crouch light kick. On counter hit, combos into itself. This is a very awesome tool. Gives you time to buffer into that. Gives you a lot of time to think about, you know, which punish you want to go with. So crouch medium kick, again, great range. On counter hit, it's +10, which means it can combo into itself easily. It can combo into stand fierce. Very good to keep in mind. I'm going to show some, you know, some grab baits later in the video that will touch on how you can apply that more. But if you ever do this move, let's just say meaty on your opponent's wake up, it's a +8 move normally that becomes +9. So still combo into itself meaty. This is a very good wake up tool to use on opponents. And if you're lucky enough to hit them with punish counter on this, it's an insane +12, which means you're going to combo crouch hard kick or crouch roundhouse into it. And it does it at such far distances, as you can see. You know, Kuma's basically half screen away and I'm still getting him. And you're going to ask why I brought up that target combo earlier, this one with Ed, why it's important. Is because if you ever do find yourself in a burnt out situation and you just have your bar to work with, this combo alone does okay damage. It's already in 2000 and it's a pretty easy hit confirm into a target combo. But remember, because this can combo into supers, you get a very good punish, meterless, and it just might save you the game. So the very first special I want to talk about is Ed's DP. There's 3 versions, you know, surprise, surprise, light, medium, hard punch. But the reason that they're important is that they are very slow. You have to keep that in mind. Even this fastest one is only 10 frames. It's very short range. It's susceptible to empty jumps like you wouldn't even believe. It's just an empty jump killer. But it still stuffs a ton of things. Like even moves you wouldn't expect that it could stuff, like Luke's jump fierce punch. It just eats it like it's nothing. I would recommend learning to do it while crouched, just because it buys you a bit more time to hit that stuff. So it's worth learning some of those shortcuts. Like if you look on this side, for example, there's a shortcut with leverless. You can hold down forward and look at the opponent and then just hit back and punch and you'll still get the animation. So if you can learn these DPs low, it's worth having. And Ed's other medium punch and hard punch DP, you're mostly going to use them in combo routes. For example, you know, you'll see this combo in medium punch routes all the time. Light kill rush into the medium punch. That's just something you're going to see. Or if you see Eds want to, you know, cash out on damage more than the Oki, they're going to go into the heavy punch DP. But there are still times where you'll see this come out as an anti-air. And it's when you bait someone with a fireball, you walk up close and then they jump from further away. It doesn't always work, don't get me wrong, but you can catch jumps like that. It kind of works like a Kara DP from the old Street Fighter days. Next up are Ed's Blitzes. A very important move to his toolkit. Again, I'm going to go into way more depth in this later in the video. But essentially, this is going to be one of your main combo enders. You definitely don't want it to be one of your combo starters because all of them are actually very negative. This -5, it might not seem like it's, you know, easy to punish, but it can't be perfectly spaced. There's no such thing as a perfectly spaced blitz. So if they have a quick -5 reversal, they're going to get you. And if you do the medium reversal, or sorry, the medium punch blitz or the hard punch blitz on block, you're eating big damage. It's -12. You're going to lose 60% of your health. And chances are, if you see this on block, your opponent did it by accident because there's no other reason to do it. Another one of Ed's very important tools are his flickers. They're done with, you know, quarter circle forward with kicks. The light kick one is the fastest. It goes horizontally. The medium kick one goes the furthest and it doesn't hit low even though it looks like it's hitting low. And then the hard kick one snipes people out of the air. The important thing about this that obviously everybody wants to remember is that it's +4 on block. What does that mean? It means that it's super your turn when you bring someone in. So work on your delayed, you know, medium punches, delayed crouches, delayed jabs, just to mess up your timing. But when it's +4, you have all the advantage. Ed's EX DP, on the other hand, serves a very good purpose, but it's a bit situational. It's not the most reliable, you know, wake up option. If your opponent is to meaty jab you, for example, on your wake up, you're not going to hit that. A lot of opponents can do meaty pressure and simply just block that when they come down. The real reason to use this is that sometimes it's good to still do it on wake up because it'll blow up command grabs or people trying to grab you. But if your opponent's throwing fireballs, because Ed doesn't leave the ground, he walks forward, he goes through that fireball and then clips them down. A very good tool. EX Flicker, another amazing move, you know, blows up fireballs, goes through fireballs, and can grab opponents. But you just can't throw this move out willy-nilly, because unlike these other flickers where they come up pretty quick, or Ed can dash out, dash forward, you know, change up the timing, you're fully committed into this move. Once they glow yellow, this move is coming out. So if your opponent's smart, they'll DI you or parry it, because, you know, those both work very well on it. Or they'll hit you with a drive reversal when they see it coming, which will send Ed flying. So don't use this as a crutch. Even combos like this, they're not true block strings, and if your opponent knows, they're going to DI, not DUI because they'll be in jail, but they will DI you out of it. And then the last special you got to get familiar with is Ed's Kill Rush. A very, very important weapon in his toolkit. It goes backwards if you want to dash backwards, or dashes forward. The reason this is important is because it leads into so much pressure that Ed can get when it goes forward, but it's also important in a lot of his combo routes as well. So Ed can do two different variations of this. You know, if you press forward and end it quickly, you'll do a very quick version of it. And then this also, you know, can be comboed into other things like that. But if you delay it, you'll get the Kill Rush Upper. This will take a ton of timing because you're going to mess it up from time to time, especially if you go to play on PS5s or PCs like I do, going back and forward, playing on different setups, you know, different monitors. That timing is important. And even Momochi was dropping it on the Evo stage. So it's one of those things where unless you're playing on one setup all the time, you have to get used to that delayed timing. And there's so many times you want the full version like that, but you'll get this version instead. And the great thing about the full version is that it combos into Heavy Blitz, which can lead into level 3 if you're doing it to it, or if you're doing it, or you get some Oki out of it. But if you want straight damage, it also goes into Heavy DP. The other reason this move is important is because it's also a defensive option. If you're in the corner over here, and let's just put Akuma on record if I can do it on the first time, and he jumps and attacks me. If I'm not comfortable with my anti-airs, you can just kill rush out. And if you're not familiar, Ed's head and upper body is actually completely invincible at this point. So it does give you a proper, you know, escape route if you're not very comfortable. And this is a very important move in the Akuma matchup because it goes under things like his air fireball and you can get a full punish after. But I'm going to get into that in some of the character specifics. So don't sleep on this move. Alright, so Ed's fireball is actually pretty good. It comes out in two forms. So first you have to do a quarter circle forward to do the spark, and then you hold forward and press any punch button and it changes the speed of the fireball. The reason it's good is because the slow one is very slow and then the fast one is very fast. So you really want that to be like a fireball trade. You know, if you've ever picked a zoning character, you really want a slow fireball and a really fast one, and then a medium one for, you know, just changing up the timing. The other thing that makes this fireball powerful is Ed can still drive rush behind it. You're not really going to get many combos off of it unless someone lands on the fireball, which I'll show later. But it's a great tool. If someone jumps over the fireball, you quickly go, you can DP if they try to jump over. So it works like a Kara. The other reason the fireball is super important is that if I turn on Akuma's fireball game, you're not going to beat Akuma in a fireball war, but at least with Ed, he can spark one and then delay and hit the other one. Not many characters have that option, and it's just good to, you know, stop the bleeding on Akuma's amazing zoning. This is the same technique that I'll do against Guile opponents. I'll absorb sonic booms as much as I can, and sometimes I won't even send it back. I'll just absorb just to see what their next move is. So oftentimes you can bait them with an absorb and then hit a DP if they try to jump over. But it's also a really good tool to see how your opponent acts to zoning. Like, are they comfortable with zoning? Are they used to playing zoning characters? A lot of characters expect a fireball to come back to them, but when they see that you'll stop it, they'll have to react differently as well. So keep in mind, don't always, you know, try to hit the spark and then send it back, because you want to get as much information as possible. EX Spark, also an amazing move because, let's see if I can pull it off. You can do a slow version, which is very good, and it's very good to chase behind to close gaps. Or you can do a very fast version. So another great thing about the EX version, you get to choose the speeds. Slow ones, you know, they have amazing properties like that. So keep that in mind. Alright, so Ed's specials actually benefit a lot from counter hit and counters as well. So let's just say the opponent's blocking, you try to set up a frame trap, you do your jabs, you delay, and then you do a blitz. A light blitz is actually +5 on counter hit, which is awesome, obviously, because that means it can combo into another jab, or it can go into, you guessed it, crouch-like kick. So there's two routes you can go. You can either, you know, do it into the medium punch blitz, which is what I recommend. You get a knockdown and a follow-up. Or if you want to really, you know, stick on them, you can do it into the light version again. Why is this important? You know, anytime you can blitz into or combo into a blitz, it's valuable because you can either benefit off the knockdown, or, you know, you can win the game with a level 3. So keep that in mind. You won't really see this on punish counter much, but in case you do, like your opponent's mashing a ton and, you know, they're a complete noob, it is +7 on block, which means you can go into medium punch routes. Bam. His spark on counter hit is also +5, which means, again, a jab can connect, or the light crouch light kick. I'm going to show you why this is important. It's because you can spark on wake up, and if a character doesn't have the best wake up and it loses to projectiles like JP, for example, spark setups are very good on their wake up. And this is just, you know, a basic example on Akuma right here. You do a quick dash forward and a spark. You see, you get the counter hit setup. That means, you know, if you time everything correctly, you'll be able to go into another combo like that. So keep that in mind. And one thing as Ed you always have to pay attention for is when you hit them with a snatcher that's punish counter, it's always going to force a crumble. Why this is important is because Ed has these godlike, you know, far-reaching normals. You can actually chase down the crumble, and they have crazy corner potential. You know, I've made a video on this before. I can upload it, but even from like half screen, you can get crazy distance and take someone full screen. And it's not even that much bar. It's 2 bars plus a super if you want to use it. But if you know, you don't want to expend the super, there are DP enders to it that you can do. But keep it in mind, you don't always have to do a stand medium kick to, you know, start the launcher. A lot of Ed's normals will actually connect into it. I believe even like crouch hard kick will connect into a combo. Just use what you're most comfortable with. It's you that's going to be doing these combos in the end, so you just want to make sure that, you know, you do the one that works for you. And the best part is, you don't even need the perfect kill rushes. Like over here, I'm getting the perfect kill rushes and they work. But if you want to do the delayed versions, this combo still works, you know, exactly the exact same way. So keep that in mind. Ed's machine gun blitz. Well, let's be honest. This only has one true purpose, and that's to link into level 2. I'm going to go into detail why this is arguably the most important thing to learn if you want to, you know, take Ed to the next level a little bit later in the video. But remember that. So the one unique thing is this can cancel into level 2 at 2 different spots. So you can either do the delayed version where you pop them up and then they land on the super, or you can do the version where they stay on the ground and you can do a grounded combo. There are reasons why you want to do the grounded version, and it's mostly when, you know, the opponent's in the corner. There'll just be some random setups like this. This is like a super basic setup, but there's more you can do from that. But 4,000 damage, not bad from a grounded combo. And the reason you do the grounded version is you wouldn't get any juggle potential if you knock them in the air. Something to note about the fireball is that it goes full screen, Each medium punch, light punch, hard punch, they all send them at different speeds. So hard punch, fierce punch, he just flings it at them. This is good if you want to catch them by surprise if they're burnout. The light version goes very slow. You know, adds a lot to walk into it, walk through it, and it goes the full screen. I don't know if Capcom's going to keep this in moving forward, but we got to see. Another good tool if they're, you know, in burnout and you want to chase them down. A lot of times you'll see that an opponent will just, you know, hold parry because they want to absorb all the hits. That might not always be the best, you know, course of action, because let's just say I throw this super out, I can push them out of the parry state and then still hit them with a grab or something like that, or a different mix-up. So you have to be aware when that super is on the screen. Ed's level 1 is just a basic level 1, nothing special. It is a bit slow though, it comes out at 13 frames and it still loses to projectiles on wake up. But the reason this special is good is that it's very easy to combo into. So literally, you name it, if Ed can juggle somebody, chances are, you know, he can lead into this super somehow. So it's a super that has a lot of utility in terms of connecting it. It's a lot like Randy Orton's RKO, but it's not the best wake up option on, you know, a lot of occasions. It does have invincibility, so if someone's trying to command grab you, or, you know, they're trying to hit you with something meaty, and it's a slow normal, you will be able to punish it, but it will lose to projectiles, and if they do meaty jabs, they'll be able to block it. So like I said, again, this just combos into so many different. Ed's level 3 is deceptively far reaching, and it can actually clip a lot of fireballs, especially in matchups like Guile, Akuma, Ken, where, you know, they might have an extended hurt box if Guile's doing Sonic Blade or Ken or Ryu are doing their normal fireballs. This is a good way to walk forward and then trick them into throwing a fireball and hitting a quick level 3 through it. And then here's an example of that in practice. Let's just have Akuma throw a fireball, replay it. You can parry it. There's a lot of different options that you can do, but if you have the read, a level 1 or level 3, sorry, will go right through it. Another important thing, it doesn't work on Akuma as well because he doesn't have an extended hurt box on his fireballs. Like, his hands don't have a hurt box. An EX Flicker from that range would catch people like Ryu and Ken just because their hands have hurt boxes. Over there it works because I'm doing it preemptively, but it's an amazing tool to keep Ryu's and Ken's honest. It won't work on Akuma because he's so stupidly broken, but it's okay. Akuma needs to be good. Even your regular tether, if you charge it, you know, level 2 to the max, it will go through a fireball and catch Akuma and still launch him into the air. So that's another good tool to have. It works really well in the Guile matchup, Ken, Ryu matchups. Not so much in the Akuma match, because if they're comfortable with zoning, they're going to stay far behind. But it's definitely a tool that you can have in your back pocket. And if they think you're going to do it, you can fake them out with the high one. Then the most important thing, his most important super is not his level 3, it's not his level 1, it's his level 2. And the reason is, it leads into this juggle state. And I'm not going to go through it in depth. You know, I made a video on this. I can share the link so you can see. But that's how Akuma gets, or sorry, Ed gets a ton of his damage. And the rule of thumb is, anything that combos into Blitz will combo into EX Blitz as well. So even a jab version will go right into EX Blitz. So what does that mean? The God Normal, Crouch Light Kick, also goes into EX Blitz. Stand medium kick will also go into EX Blitz. You won't always do it in that manner, but it's worth noting. And your goal is to always find ways to get them into this juggle state. And This is how Ed will get a ton of his damage without much meter use. The hardest part for Ed's gameplay, especially if you're a beginner or an intermediate level player like me, is that he doesn't have an overhead. None of his moves are overhead. He does have an instant overhead, you know, when you jump back light kick. But because he doesn't have an overhead or a command grab, you really need to know your fundamentals to open characters up. So the best ways that Ed can open characters up are you have to know how to A, shimmy, B, learn frame traps, and C, you have to know how to blow up delay tag. First mechanic is shimmy, and it's important for every character in this game, or a lot of characters. Some characters can't do it, but it was a big Street Fighter V mechanic, and you know, Ed is a Street Fighter V character, so it makes sense that it works for him as well. But shimmy is a huge part of Ed's gameplay. That moment right there where you have them whiff the grab, that's how Ed gets a ton of his damage. And there's so many different routes that he can go into. You see right over there, you just get 30% off a basic route. But Ed needs to master the shimmy, and it's just another approach to your opponent to let them know that, you know, maybe I'm not going to grab you on your wake up, maybe I'm not going to throw out a medium punch, I might not have an overhead, I might not have a command grab, but I still got to keep you guessing. Next thing you have to know are frame traps. They're important for every character, but especially for characters that don't have easy ways to open up characters, like without overheads or command grabs. So Ed's basic tether, easy example, it's +4 on block, so I have Ryu mashing on jab. It's never going to get me if I block. But because it's +4, I can mash out my stand medium punch because it comes out in 7 frames, and it's going to beat the jab. And if it doesn't beat the jab, it'll always trade with the jab. So you still get combo potential after. But because it can combo into a counter hit with medium punch, you know, you get into a situation where you can hit them with 2 medium punches or another combo route if you want to. So see that trade combo that went off? It's going to be advantageous to you to know your frames when it's your turn, and that's what's going to keep opponents guessing. When they're confused about when it really is their turn or when it's your turn, that's when Ed really shines and can start opening them up. Ed's only plus normal is, you know, close hard kick, and even though it's +3, which is great, it's inconsistent because if they're crouching, you know, it's going to whiff. So as I mentioned before, fuzzy guard setups are the best way to go into it. But then as Ed, you have to know how plus you are on drive rush. So +2, I know I'll be in an advantageous state for a lot of things, but a lot of his drive rush moves, you know, are either a negative or just 0, and some good ones like crouch hard kick, crouch light kick, the god normal only +0 on block. You know, drive rush medium kick is -1, so not really advantageous to you. That's why a lot of Eds, when they do drive rush, it's with drive rush jab, drive rush light kick, drive rush medium punch, and drive rush fierce. In my opinion, by far the hardest thing to learn is to blow characters up that are doing delay tag, delay jabs, just because that takes a long time to learn in any fighting game. And it's just going to come with practice, but Ed needs to know it. So if I have Ryu set to mash jab right now, because Ed's got, you know, a chainable light that comes out really fast, it doesn't matter how fast Ryu jabs, even though on minus, because this chains and it links, Ryu's going to get hit by counter hit, no problem. But if I'm to, let's just say, set Ryu to a delay of 3 frames, he's delaying his jab. Doesn't matter how fast I jab now, Ryu's blocking because he's delaying. He's not exposing himself to get hit by the counter hit combo. And that's why you have to learn as Ed, very important, to delay your attacks sometimes, your follow-up attacks, to create that gap so it is plus for you. So if I delay for a second, you see I get the jab out in that way. Insanely important for Ed to know. It just comes back down to changing the timings. Let's just say if I turn off Ryu mashing right now, sometimes you just have to hit them with a chainable attack. Sometimes you got to hit them with a jab into a tick grab, hit up high, low, just to make them think that what are you up to next? Shimmy. That's the main game plan for Ed, knowing his spacing and his numbers. The same thing applies to delayed grab techs, which is huge in this game. You have to know how to deal with them. So again, going into Ed's basic starter, if they're just mashing jab, you're going to get that counter hit off, and you know, you're going to go on your way, because if Ed hits this counter hit, literally he gets the whole world handed to him, because you can combo right into stand heavy punch. You can combo into another crouch medium kick. That counter hit is huge for Ed's pressure game. But what happens, for example, if we delay the wake up grab? We'll just pick a number like 6 frames just to make it obvious. If we delay the tech, if I mash medium kick on wake up, he blocked. How come it's not working? This is very important. You have to learn how to blow up delay tech by delaying yourself. A very, very slight pause and then go into your medium punch or your crouch medium kick to blow up that delay. Because 6 frame is heavy delayed, I'm just doing it just to show you like an exaggerated example. If I delayed it for a bit longer, you see I got the counter hit off because I didn't mash it right away. So another huge, huge, huge part of Ed's game, you have to just take an extra bit of time, you know, 1 millisecond, even 2 milliseconds, and then hit your normal. You have to blow up delayed tech because once your opponent knows that, hey, you know how to blow up delayed tech, that's going to make them revert back to mashing on wake up sometimes. You have to create that doubt and those options in their brain as Ed. Alright, let's talk about safe jumps. Very important in fighting games, and you guessed it, incredibly important to Ed's game. He gets most of his safe jumps off of blitz combos and DPs. As you can see, DP is plus 38 on block or on wake up, and heavy blitz is plus 40. These are just grounded. I'm going to show some examples. But these are the sweet spots. Anything between 38 frames and 42 frames will be safe jumps on, you know, multiple characters in the game depending on their options. For Shotos who have very good safe jumps, or sorry, anti-airs, you have to remember that the sweet spot for them is between 41 frames and 42. So let's just say I set Ryu to OD Shoryuken, which comes out, actually let's see how fast it comes out. 6 frames, still very good. See how privileged these Shotos are with their 6 frame TPs? Anyways, if I'm to end this combo in a medium blitz or heavy blitz, which is plus 41 on block, I am going to beat this OD option if I delay my attack. And then obviously you go in for a heavy damage combo. But you can't just put your brain on autopilot and when you see this think that, okay, safe pressure all the time. If you mess up your timing, you're going to get clipped. But it's also not always safe if the Ryu knows what they're doing. For example, if the Ryu knows that the light Shoryuken comes out in 5 frames, that's 1 frame faster. It doesn't matter how delayed I do this uppercut now, the math will never work out. Sorry, the safe jump. This is 1 frame faster, so that plus 41 on wake up doesn't matter anymore. So in this situation, you have to know that the medium punch variations lead to plus 45 or above plus 42, which means this will be a safe jump no matter what. And that also means I'm not going to drop my combo there, but you're going to get some big damage. So the important thing with Ed is to know how you're going to get those plus frames. So if you want above plus 41 for frame advantage, so let's just do the heavy version. This is plus 40. But I know if I end with a light punch blitz or a heavy punch blitz, or sorry, a medium punch blitz, it's going to be plus 45, which I'm pretty sure, yeah. That means I can safe jump it. Plus 45 is actually a bit too plus. You want it to be plus 42 or plus 43, as close to 42 as possible. Because sometimes being 2 plus, you know, you might have to manually time or manually delay things. But that's one way you can get that number high. Another way you can do it is Ed's medium punch, hard punch target combo. If you end in a heavy blitz, as you can see, it's plus 42, and that means, in theory, Ryu should never be able to get that DP off, even if it comes out in 5 frames. This is very, very important for Ed to know, and I'm glad to teach you it. But like I said, Ed is a thinking character. Just because it's plus 42 doesn't mean it's going to work on every character. So if I turn on, you know, OD headbutt, if I jump with a fierce, Honda's going to beat me with that punish. And you're going to say to yourself, why is it beating me? It's because he's absorbing the attack and it's freezing you in the air, and that's why he's hitting you. So it's not to say your safe jump won't work, but you have to be thinking. And I think, well, maybe I shouldn't have done this version. I think if you hit him with a jump jab, and we're going to do it for science right now, your safe jump will actually work. So you have to adjust the frames for yourself as well. you always have to be thinking. Top of mind, and I know maybe if the comment section is going to rip me a new one if I'm wrong. The characters you just have to watch out for is Honda, because he can hit you out of your fierce punches in the air, so do a jab. I'm pretty sure JP's OD Amnesia will beat it as well, so you have to keep that in mind. Who else? Zangief, I think if they do the options select for level 3, they're going to get you as well. Lily, another one. If she has Windstock, she can definitely beat you with that safe jump option as well. So, again, you have to know the character you're playing. The safe jumps are not going to be universal across the cast. Another reason the Spark is important is that you can use it on some characters' wake up, especially if they don't have good reversals or their wake up options just lose to projectiles. So if you hit them with any Spark, medium punch, light punch, hard punch, it's always going to be +3. Even if you finish the combo with the Fireball Ender, it's still +3. No combos after that. But because Ed has so many different setups, and I'll just show you a super basic one. After a kill rush and a blitz, you can do a kill frame and a jab and then do a spark. But you can see how much of a frame advantage it gives you on wake up. So just a kill rush, now it's +7. It can go anywhere from +6 to +10. That means if you know your timing, let's just see if I can get this on the camera on the first try. You can lead into different combos as well. And JP is kind of, you know, in no man's land here, because let's just say I have JP using everyone's favorite move from Season 1, OD Amnesia. Where is it? There we go. If I set that on, it does not matter if he pulls this out, because this is a projectile. It's going to beat Amnesia. It's also, in specific matches with JP, I'm pretty sure it beats his level 1 as well. Yeah, it's going to beat any level 1 because level 1s are projectile vulnerable. So this is going to hit him. And it's punish counter. When it's punish counter, it's +14. What does that mean? It means you probably, you know, get tons of damage if you want from that, because it goes into fierce punch or standing hard kick. You know, the world is your oyster. And because it does come out in, you know, a very, you know, awkward timing for JP, I'm pretty sure his level 3 won't even work against this, just because it isn't such a slow level 3 startup and you have all this time to block. So in some matchups, you know, Wake Up Spark is an amazing tool. And for those wondering, it beats Wake Up Grab as well. So it gives you +9 on grab, which means you should be able to get medium punch combo starters on it. Oops. Let's see. And that was actually +11 because I did the light punch blitz. So mess around with it. It leads you into a lot of different options, and anytime you beat on JP, it just makes everybody happy. Am I right? And if we talk about the mental stack of the tether, the most important thing to remember is that you don't want to be predictable or stationary with it. No one in the game wants to be grabbed because it brings them into a +4 state. Even Zangief doesn't want to be this close because Ed's got a lot of options to beat what he has. But the tether will always force an option. People don't want to get hit by it. They might perfect parry, they might jump back, jump forward, drive impact, drive reversal, you name it. There are a million options that they have at their disposal. But what Ed needs to know, and this takes a long time to learn with fighting games, sometimes just do the backdash or the forward dash just to get them thinking of what's next. There are obvious examples, you know, JP might want to perfect parry this, you dash up and grab. That's obvious. But visual cues are so big in fighting games, competitive sports in general. If they see Ed moving around a lot, you know, he's trying to bait me with something, he might do a full tether on grab this time, or he might dash back. That change in visual cue is huge for adding to the mental stack in a fighting game. If Ed's always just standing in one spot doing this, it gets predictable quickly. Your opponent's going to get the read. They're able to relax in a game like Street Fighter 6, and you never want them to relax in a game like this because you have so many options. So sometimes you might do a short tether just to, you know, catch them off guard like that. Sometimes you'll do the full tether, or, you know, sometimes you'll fake them out with a move like that just to see that you know, you're coming up with different options every single time, and it's adding to the overall mental stack. And I promise you, this will make a huge difference, especially if you're playing characters or people in long sets. And get comfortable catching people out of the air with this attack as well, the upper tether. Once you catch them with this, trust me, it's going to make them think twice of jumping in the air, and that's what Ed wants. Ed wants people to stay grounded because he's got these fantastic long-reaching normals. So once in a while, you do have to call them out with this move. It's going to take time. You are going to get blown up sometimes when you do it, but sometimes with that risk comes great reward. Everybody hates throw loops, but Ed has one of the best throw loops in the game, and you have to utilize it. So one of the ways that you can do his are either just dashing forward and grabbing, or using a kill rush and grabbing. And it's perfectly timed, so even if you want to set up, you know, Luke to do crouch jab, which comes out in 4 frames, this is still a perfect, like frame perfect throw loop. So if you do it correctly, you're going to see it says counter hit on the left side. And this is how you practice your throw loops as well. You want to make sure you get that counter hit to show up, because if you don't and you get jabbed out of it, you know that you were too slow with it. It even works off the kill rush. And one thing you have to practice with Ed, and pretty much any character with a throw loop, you have to throw in things like vertical jumps or jumps over, so you have all the options covered if they ever try to jump. And it still works if you do you know, stand hard kick, because if you're not comfortable with your DP motions, you have options there as well. So throw loops, we all hate them, but you have to practice them. Another thing you need to know for Ed's corner pressure is Meaty Flicker. It's +4. Again, nobody wants to be, you know, dragged in this close, because you can set them up for frame traps and whatnot. But the important thing to remember with Meaty Flicker is if you time it correctly, and it is a bit tricky, and you're gonna have to practice it, it's actually safe to drive impact. So sometimes they'll want to drive impact on wake up, but if you do the Meaty Flicker correctly and just mash drive impact, you should be able to come out at the right time and then counter them with it. And this is so important because so many characters have to respect this once they find out that you have a DI reversal to it. Boom. The other thing people are going to do if you do, you know, Meaty Flicker is they're just going to try to parry everything. In this case, you have to remember that you can dash forward and grab them out of it. It does so much damage because it's punish counter, it eats the drive bar. So you're going to take that trade all the time. And then the best part is it sets you up for more throw loops or more, you know, Meaty Flicker pressure. So when you see your opponent do this, it usually is just a free dash forward and a grab. So always look out for that and make sure it's in your arsenal. Right, so if you ever get a wall splat, Ed can do tons of different things. It really is up to you what you want to do. So essentially anything will combo. You can even do things like crouch hard kick into flicker, and you're going to get decent damage out of it. But what you're mostly going to see people do is either the medium punch target combo into this route. So it's heavy flicker, light DP, light blitz. The reason this is important is that A, it's very easy to do, and B, it gives you a +42 frame advantage, which means it's a perfect safe jump setup. So if they do anything like that, you're going to be able to block it and do big damage. If you like doing charge flickers, then, you know, standing close hard kick into flicker will also work. And it does decent damage, goes into heavy blitz, which means you get a safe jump and that you get a level 3 if you need. And then the other option is just the delayed kill rush option. So that'll pop them up. It works the same. If you're quick enough, you can get a DP off. It'll even work if you get the non-delayed starter. So it works either way. And then you can get the light blitz into it if you're quick enough. The good thing about light blitz, again, safe jump, level 3, the whole 9, is definitely worth having. Right, so if you want to cash out that damage, he doesn't have the best cash out, you know, when it comes to getting max damage for his full meter use. But you can go into a generic one like this where you just put all your heavies. It already does 2900 when you're out of bar. And then obviously you would end it in a blitz. And let's just see how much this does finally for full damage. This is without critical art, so it's going to be scaled back a bit. But you get into the 5366 range, so not bad, but you're going to need full bar. Another max cash out you can do, you need full bar again, but it does do more damage. It's EX Flicker into Heavy Flicker into all of these, you know, enders into a Heavy Blitz. The Heavy Blitz, again, the timing is a bit awkward. So a lot of times I just go into the Medium Blitz. But for the sake of showing you how much damage this does compared to the other route, it does do a bit more damage. You're not always going to find yourself in this situation, but that extra 300 damage without critical art, you know, is definitely something. If you don't have full resources, you can actually end that combo early into a charged flicker, and that will go into the Heavy Blitz as well, and then right into level 3. It saves you with just a little bit of bar left, but it's worth keeping sometimes. 200 less damage, but you're not in burnout, so you choose what works best for you. So a big part of Street Fighter 6 is, you know, baiting drive rush and then attacking your opponent. So you see, if I try to drive rush in, I'm gonna get checked. Even if I mash, if my button is slow or I just pick the wrong button in general, it's gonna get clipped. The biggest thing Ed can do in this situation is drive rush stop and then do a flicker. This is good because a lot of times when opponents see the green dash, they're going to want to try to, you know, preemptively stop it. But because Ed stops right away, he stops right in his track, no forward momentum, he can often poke them. And if you do ever get that crumple on screen, you know, there's many other things you can lead into it and go straight into the corner. So this is a godly tool to figure out how to use effectively. It's going to take some practice. Sometimes you'll have to use the medium one as well, just because it reaches further. But implement them all in your game, including the EX one, you know, when the time asks for it. The other thing, this one is simpler. Just memorize everything that goes into Ed's big damage OD moves. So EX Flicker and EX Blitz. Only 2 moves will combo into EX Flicker normally. Not even, you know, Heavy Kick will do it. So it's Fierce Punch will go into Flicker, and then Medium Kick will go into EX Flicker. These are good because, again, if you get that punish counter off, let's just see where it is. I can still hit them with the EX Flicker. EX Flicker is important because it's one of Ed's basic ways to get a lot of damage. That's an extremely simple route, but as you can see, it still does 2800. There are different routes you can do, but the timing is up to you if you want to go for it in match. So you can do like a fireball into DP, chase down. Costs an extra bar, but it pushes them further, and you know, if you're feeling yourself, you can do it. There's also a million ways you can combo after that, but I'm just going to show you the easy ways. The other thing you got to know is what combos into the EX Blitz. So practically everything, that's the good thing. You can hit confirm with jabs, and it'll work. It'll scale like hell when you hit the level 2, but it works. Even medium punch raw will work. Fierce punch will work. Hard kick will work. Obviously that will work. But the most important one is crouch light kick will work. So because this can work like that, you can set up situations where you can hit confirm into it, and then that will lead to level 2. Is it going to be scaled? Yes. But you still get the corner carry, as you can see, and it still does pretty good damage for not that much resources because you'll be building your bar back. Alright, because Ed has a fast fireball and a very slow fireball, it throws off the timing for so many people. If you see that they have a misplaced jump, so let's just say in this case, you know, Luke is going to jump over it, you can drive rush after that fireball and uppercut him. It doesn't always have to be the light punch version. In this case, you know, you can do the medium punch version. It acts as a car uppercut. You can do the hard punch version. If you know they're going to land on it, you can do so many things. You can combo into Fierce Punch, which can go into a EX Flicker, which can lead into different combos. But you just have to know, if you think they're going to land on the fireball, there are options available to you. You can even do straight into level 3 if you don't think that, you know, you can pull off the combos. There's so many different things you can do, but just know, if they land on a light punch fireball, you have tons of options available to you. You also have to watch out for drive reversal. It's -6 on block, which means Ed can either punish with a stand light kick, which you normally wouldn't do unless like it was going to kill for sure and you just want to mash it out. The real option you want to go into is crouch light kick because it comes out in 5 frames. and because it'll hit as a punish counter, you'll be able to combo into stand medium punch like that. That, if you're curious, can go into, you know, further options like the target combo, and the target combo can always, you know, have options that can go into level 3, or you can do level 2 startups. So literally extremely important, because some people love drive reversal in this game, and you got to make sure that you have it checked. So one awesome thing about Ed is that there are tons of resources. So many incredible players play him: Ending Walker, Fudo, Momochi, Lashar, and he's just a popular character right now, so you're going to see a lot of content, you know, high level content as well. And a lot of individual content creators, you know, they have tons of resources out, combo videos, things like that. So there's tons of things you can go through. Alright, so if I could do a quick Ed tier list just to help people out on this. Again, I'm not a pro player. Pro players, you know, tier list might be completely different. I'm just talking about, you know, intermediate and below, because that's what most of us are and where most of us are going to be. Ryu, I think it's 5-5. It's pretty even. You know, Ed can make things difficult for Ryu on his crouch medium kick with Ed's stand medium kick, but it's not like Ed just owns him. You still got to respect Ryu's damage, fireball game, things like that. So 5-5. Luke, exact same reason. I'd put in 5-5. I think Chun-Li again is pretty even. She doesn't have a throw loop that she can abuse Ed with, but you know, she has a lot of close pokes that can be annoying, especially if she corners you. But you can do the exact same thing to her as well, which is you're going to find a theme of that, like with a lot of the 5-5 matchups. Jamie, I do think Ed wins slightly. Ed has some normals that just erases a lot of Jamie's things. Like if a lot of Jamies want to do that stupid breakdancing sweep move that he has, Ed can punish that like nothing. He has fireballs that will annoy Jamie's drink game, or tether will also annoy Jamie drinking. So I definitely think, even at the top level, that Ed beats Jamie. But who doesn't, right? I used to think Guile beat Ed, but the more I played the matchup, the more I've seen pros play the matchup, I would put it in 5-5. You just have to get super comfortable with playing lame and flickering his sonic booms, or sorry, sparking the sonic boom. So erasing the fireball with your spark, that'll buy you some time, and it'll let the Guile know what you're doing as well. So you have to play super lame, but it's doable, and then you have to abuse him with your EX flicker or your charge flickers just to disrupt his timing. Get used to doing an EX DP through his sonic booms as well. That makes a big difference as well. Kimberly, I haven't played enough Kimberly, so I don't know the matchup. Jury is another character I've probably only played a handful of times in Season 2. I just haven't been running into a lot of Juries. It wouldn't surprise me if she gives Ed a tough time, but I'm not just going to throw her into the, you know, Ed loses category. Dalsum, I 100% think Ed loses to Dalsum, at least at intermediate level and below. He just beats zoning characters in the history of Street Fighter. He just has the buttons that annoy them, and it's kind of hard for Ed to break through his fireball game, because, you know, Dalsum is happy to play full screen and throw out that air fireball and whatnot, or throw out the fireball that goes up in the sky and then comes back down like a mortar. It definitely gives Ed some trouble. So I personally think he loses. Maybe, you know, pro player will have a different opinion, but that's where I put him right now. Honda sucks. Well, he doesn't suck. No one really sucks in this game, but he gets a lot of his normals and his shenanigans, they get erased by Ed. Ed can even, you know, if you're playing a noob Honda that just likes doing the butt slam, Ed can kill rush under or kill rush back and avoid it and just do massive punishes. Now, there are things that Ed has to watch out for as well, especially since they buffed Honda stand medium punch. He has a certain range where he can make things really uncomfortable for Ed. And if the Honda knows what they're doing in the corner, between stand medium punch and then delaying their fierce punch to get Ed's extended normals, you know, you can't be sleeping because he'll hit you for a ton of damage. Ken, I hate Ken, but it's still a 5-5 matchup. He can obviously destroy Ed if everything goes his way, but Ed can put up a wall and make things kind of annoying for him as well. Blanca, nothing too crazy, another 5-5 I would say. Biggest thing you have to just bait Blanca with is sparks, so he'll think you're going to throw the fireball, then he'll do a slide. You should be able to block and get it. And then just practice perfect parries on blanket balls, and then you can dash forward into a flicker, you can dash forward into a fierce punch. There's a lot of options that you can do, but this matchup isn't too crazy. DJ again, I'd say 5-5, nothing too crazy. Manon, another character, I think at top level and intermediate level, Ed does beat her. The main issue is there's not that many Manons, and people really don't know the matchup, especially a lot of Ed mains. I myself will only know partial parts of the matchup, but I just know that her drive rush isn't the strongest. You can keep her out pretty easy, and you do tons of, counter pokes on her just because her normals aren't as good as yours. So I can see it being tough for Manon. Not to say a Grandmaster Manon won't whoop you, because there are plenty. Marissa's another character. I would say Ed wins. Marissa's just in such a tough spot. At the intermediate level and below, she's totally viable. She's good, but just playing the cat and mouse game with her is not that fun. And Ed's stand medium kick is just such a pain to her. You can't Gladius through it because it hits late, it hits low for the Gladius armor. And he just has an easy time keeping her out. And obviously her wake up is one of the worst wake ups in the game. So once he knocks her down, he goes to town. JP, I don't know where to put it. I know in one sense that a lot of people would put Ed in the JP wins. I will tentatively put him in 5-5 just because, I play some strong JPs and I can see what he's capable of. But I wouldn't be surprised if JP is in the Ed win category. JP is just in that odd state where his wake up options are not that good against Ed, especially if Ed knows Meaty Spark options. Because that literally beats his level 1, it beats his level 3, it beats OD Amnesia. And if you just abuse tether shenanigans and wake up, JP has a tough time with that as well, unless he knows his perfect parry timing and whatnot. Cammy, 100% Dex Ed. You're going to find a theme of Cammy beating characters that have a hard time keeping her out. And the same thing applies to Ed. Because she has a million ways to get around projectiles and she's quick, Ed has to really respect the normals that he throws out or the fireballs or whatnot, because she can, dance around it like it's nothing. The other thing is she's able to change her jump trajectory, and that is a big issue for Ed as well, because his anti-airs are not the most consistent. They're solid, but they're not automatic like a Shoto DP or things like that. So Cammy can definitely give Ed fits, and because her walk speed is so fast, she can maul Ed in the corner. She can maul a lot of people in the corner, but Ed definitely feels it because she can sway and shimmy right in and out of his sweet spots. And, that's just a tough spot for Ed to be in. Up next, Lily. Definitely say Ed beats Lily. Again, you can run into Lilies that will absolutely wreck you if they know the matchup as well. So you're going to have to put in work as well. But the biggest thing is Lily just doesn't do enough damage to scare much of the cast. She's got amazing tools, like some of her normals are great. Her EX Condor Spire is amazing, but it's death by 1,000 cuts, and that's just not the meta in this game. So Lily does struggle with that. And Ed does a lot of things that can keep her away, or he can finish combos with a flicker and send her full screen again to set up that trap. So not a fun matchup for Lily, but not completely unwinnable either. That's the other thing. When I put Ed in wins, it's mostly, Ed wins slightly. It's not like a 7-3 or 8-2 matchup. Nothing crazy like that. So I'm just talking with like the slightest of margins here. Zangief. Ed wins or 5-5. I will put him in 5-5 because I haven't fought too many top-notch Zangiefs. But it would not surprise me either if Ed wins this matchup, just because Zangief is a slow character and he kind of has to go through the minefield that Ed sets up. And again, he doesn't like the flicker. He doesn't like stand medium kick because, it blows up a lot of his normals. And again, Ed can finish combos by sending Zangief full screen again just to start all the pressure all over again. So I'll put in 5-5 because he did get some crazy Season 2 buffs. So it might be closer than a lot of us think, but I can dabble between Ed wins and 5-5. Rashid, I don't have enough info, Aki, I don't have enough info. If I had to guess, I would say it's either 5-5 or Ed slightly loses, but I'm not going to just assume and make something up. Akuma is 5-5, but it's funny, if the Akuma plays rushdown and doesn't really zone into their fireball game, then Ed would win, because Akuma coming to Ed, there's tons of options Ed has to make his life miserable as well. Outside of his great pokes, you know, he can kill rush under air fireballs. That's very annoying. Flicker is annoying for Akuma as well. The biggest thing Akuma has going for him in this matchup is that his fireballs are insanely good and they're very fast. So Ed has to be aware of that. He also doesn't have an extended hurt box on his fireballs, so Ed doesn't get the free jump in medium kick into, you know, crouch medium kick Flicker. That's not going to happen on Akuma very often, as it does for Ryu or Ken, for example. And the other thing that Akuma really gives him tough times with, same thing as Cammy. Not so much changing up his air trajectory. I mean, it is a thing. But in the corner, Akuma's walk speed, both forward and back, is an absolute nightmare for Ed. So you don't want to end up in the corner, because he'll be perfectly spaced to either shimmy you into a grab combo or shimmy you into big counter, you know, punish counter, fierce punch combos, level 2 combos, you know, EX fist combos. You just don't want to be in the corner against Akuma, and he's got meaty setups for days. You know, EX fireball into some meaty setup is very annoying. So I'll say 5-5 in that sense. Bison, I want to say Ed loses to him just because I hate playing him so much, and you know, he gets away with so many things. But right now I'll tentatively put it into 5-5. Terry's my boy. I don't know where I'm going to put him when he releases. It doesn't matter to me because I'm going to be maining him, but Terry might be another 5-5 character matchup for Ed. So this is my tentative tier list. If someone's watching and they can provide information on Kimberly, Jury, Rashid, or Aki, you know, I'd be happy to update this as well. But this is what I think, and as you can see, he's a very viable character.